Hello everybody, welcome back to another Saturday vlog. In the background you can see Lemmings. This is the 1991 version, which you can now apparently also play in your browser if you wanted to do that. There's a link to that in the Discord. I just posted that today because I found it and I thought it would be fun, because Brandon's also playing an old game called Zombies Ate My Neighbors. He's trying to stream that and you should check out his channel to see some footage of that. And while looking at Abandonware myself, because of that, I found Lemmings and I was like, okay, let me just play some Lemmings today for a little bit of background footage. Just the first two levels, so you can kind of remember what that was like again. And so if you want to play that, there's a link in the Discord. I posted that just today. You may have already mentioned that, but I just wanted to tell you that again. And if you don't know how to get to the Discord, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Okay, but back to the NaNoWriMo thing that we're still doing, because it's still November. It's going well. We have, well, at least word count wise it's going well. The story wise it's not going so great, because last week I think we left off with Harold being him, having caught a teacher on tape doing things to a student that he wasn't supposed to be doing. And he was like, okay, I need to get this guy out of here because he might start victimizing other people. And then, or at least other girls, and we don't want that. So he had devised a plan that he was going to send an email with a clip of some of that footage to show exactly that it's him and this other person, that they're recognizable. And the only thing in the email was quit your job or ruin your reputation or something along those lines. So the idea was to send that off through an anonymous email address, or at least the email address that belonged to the school at large, as in nobody really knows who sent this because it's not really assigned to a certain person, and just have him go away, quit his job because he would be intimidated. Instead, he was apparently so intimidated, Porter, the teacher, that he decided to check out early, if you know what I mean. I don't really want to use the word because YouTube's kind of sensitive about stuff like that. So the next week, the news at school is that the teacher's not going to come back ever again. And then he thought, maybe I could also kind of use this as a way to get this whole thing with the other girl off my shoulders. So he took one of the old posters that they were handing out 3 years earlier when the whole thing with the first girl happened, like the missing posters. He had one of those saved somewhere. Don't know, I didn't actually say that he'd saved one, but he's a janitor, so he's probably been picking up stuff off the floor anyway. He may have kept one because, you know, memento and all that. And he mailed one of those to the address of the teacher with rest in peace written on the back, as in suggesting that the teacher was also the person responsible for her disappearance and eventual death. And so he was hoping that they would go, oh, that guy did it, and then he wouldn't have to go to jail and everything because he's already dead, and nobody would expect Harold instead because he's just a janitor. He didn't do anything. He's just an innocent guy, occasionally just wipes the floor or whatever, sweeps the floor, wipes other things. But they did actually come to talk with people at school because of that thing that he sent, as in, hey, also we found this footage on his computer. Like before, I imagine that they just kind of went in there, and then they, being the police in this case, to take a look what happened, and it just looks like a regular suicide. Didn't write anything about any notes, so I don't think he left a note, he just kind of checked out. And then, of course, the letter arrived from Harold, mailed from someplace far away because he didn't want to mail that from his own mailbox. That basically had the flyer in it with rest in peace written on the back, and then they were like, hey, hang on, there might be something else going on with just a guy being depressed and deciding to check out early. Let's investigate. So then they went and looked at everything that he had, anything that might point towards issues or maybe evidence that he was indeed involved with her disappearance and death. And then they went and looked at his computer, where of course they found the email sent by the school's generic email address with the clip. So then they were like, this is also very interesting. So then they went to the school, the police, and they of course went to the principal, and the principal was like, okay, let me see if I can figure out what this room is, and he recognized that as a storage room. So they went over to the storage room, and of course Harold is there to renew the water in his mop bucket and stuff like that. And the police walks in with the principal, and they're like, oh, hey, hi, we're just here to take a look at that room. And of course, the police like to question everybody, so they were like, hey, did you know that something was happening in here? And he goes, oh, might as well tell the truth now, because his idea was if I just tell the truth, then I won't seem so suspicious. Like, I'm just trying to figure out who's messing with my stuff after hours. That was the whole thing, because yeah, I think I told that last week, like things were being moved and he wanted to know what it was, and so he set up the camera. If I didn't tell all this stuff last week, this is going to sound very confusing, but okay, so quick rundown then. He had a camera set up in his storage room because things were moving around after hours, like boxes were being moved, broomsticks were falling over, stuff like that, and he didn't know why. It wasn't him doing that. Nothing was really being taken, so he wanted to know what was happening, so he sets up a camera and then catches this teacher in the act. Okay, we're back where we are. And he goes, yeah, I knew about that because I'm the one who filmed it. So then they were like, okay, we got the guy, and the principal's all upset because he's like, how you're filming stuff on this private property, and what, you're recording at your house, what's going on? You're fired. So he sacks the janitor, and the police are like, hey, if you got that footage, could we maybe get that? Could you like drop it off at the nearest precinct, and we can just take a look at it and have a chat? And he's like, sure, because I'm of course in cooperation mode, I'm going to do exactly that. And so that afternoon, because he didn't have to finish his workday because he no longer had a job there anyway, he goes to the precinct and puts everything on the flash drive. Obviously, he goes over there. He's like, okay, I'm just going to stick to the story. I just wanted to know what was happening after hours, and the reason why I actually recorded 3 different pieces of footage, which are about a week apart each, is because I was trying to figure out what to do with it, and I didn't really know, and after the 3rd time I was okay, I need to do something because this has to stop, and that's when I came up with the plan to email it, blah blah blah, because he was actually filming it repeatedly because he was also watching Annabelle in her dorm room, because he had these 2 live streams going basically from the 2 cameras that he had up. So he was actually just waiting to see Annabelle doing stuff. And also, yeah, there's a storage room. Oh, here he is again, let's record that. He was not really interested in that initially, but then he had this thought that maybe he would go and do things to more innocent girls rather than the one he was already seeing. And then he decided to do the whole email thing, so it wasn't quite as, oh no, what shall we do, for 3 weeks long. It was just like, okay, now I'm done with this guy. But okay, so he tells him that story, and of course, the police initially just want to have a little chat like they usually do. If you've ever watched any interrogation videos, you'll note that they usually start off with some random chit-chat just to see what the person's normally like, and then they go into the more hardball questions, but they don't actually go there this time. They just give him a cup of coffee, they kind of talk about I guess, himself, like what's his family like, does he have a problem with his sister or something, I don't know, whatever it is. Nothing too deep, and they take a look at some of the footage, talk about why it's 3 times, of course, real quick, and they're just trying to get a feel for this guy. And because they gave him a cup of coffee to drink, they now also have a set of fingerprints and, of course, some DNA that they can sample. So they let him go. And in that same day, which is where we currently are right now, like writing-wise, even though it's been a couple of days in real life, it's been a few, or just one day. I think it's still Wednesday in this world. So that Wednesday evening, he goes back home from the precinct. He picks up some food on the way home. And then when he goes and checks his social accounts, he finds that Annabelle now has a status update. She's now in a relationship with this other guy, whom he's never seen before because he looks very generic. So here it's like, oh my god, this sucks. In many more explicit terms, of course, because he's very upset. And basically he just goes into this negative spiral, and currently he is gone and taken anything out of his house that he doesn't really care about. He's just kind of like, I don't know, blowing off some steam, going around with plastic bags and shoving anything in there that kind of displeases him, let out some of that stress and frustration, and he's dumped that in a bin somewhere, including the TV that was still broken. I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but the TV broke down at some point. Just to kind of give that, oh my god, nothing works around here feel like way at the start of the book. But okay, so the TV is still needed replacing, so he kind of just tosses that in the bin as well. It's like, okay, done with that as well. And then he went to gas up his car, took some beers with him, and some snacks, and he's just kind of cruising down the road right now, trying to figure out what he wants to do, blow off some steam again, just like pressing the gas pedal, doing a bit of speeding, and he is kind of spiraling down. I actually watched the movie Falling Down just for a little bit of inspiration, but it's not quite the same type of anger, but it's more like everything just kind of goes from bad to worse. So currently he's been driving around for a while, he's had a few of the beers that he had in that 6-pack, so he's not thinking too straight, and he's seen like a bachelorette party going down the road at some point, and one of the girls wanders off into the street because they're all kind of drunk, and he just kind of clips her with the truck. A little bit more than clip. Like, he actually consciously steers towards her, not directly, because he wants to make it look a little bit more like an accident, but he definitely runs her over. And then he turns around the nearest corner and he's off again, and he's just feeling bad for himself, because if it was him, then nobody would be fawning over him, because he's just a guy and she's this girl who's like some great paragon of virtue in society because she has reproductive organs that produce babies and stuff like that, because of course he's an incel. So he keeps going back to woe is me and women get everything, that type of thing. So he's still in that mindset, and he's still got a few beers left, and that's where we are today. So I'm gonna probably have him do a few more things, and then eventually he's either gonna get crashed somewhere or he's gonna get caught, or I don't know what it is, but the story is about to wind down, so we need like a fitting end to this. Not really sure what I'm gonna do yet, but it's gonna be interesting, I hope. So, and then the first draft is finished, and hopefully the month will also be completed, and then we'll have to take a look if we can edit this and maybe find somebody who wants to publish it. I don't know. Never actually done that before, so I'm not really sure how the process goes. Maybe I'll send like a chapter or two to a potential publisher or whatever it is, see if they want it, and then we'll see what they say. And if nobody wants to publish it, maybe I'll do like try to make an ebook out of it myself somehow, self-publish it, I don't know. But in any case, first things first, I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing, because of course it's the first draft, and that's always full of he said this, and then she did that, and then this, and then that, and then all those simple sentence structures that need to be corrected. And of course there's some plot holes that need fixing, so it doesn't leak so much. But okay, we'll see about that. In any case, I might have to come up with a new title, because the working title is Bleach Does the Job, but he hasn't really used bleach much except for that one time, and I don't see him using bleach in the car, so probably we'll have to come up with something else. If you've got any suggestions, make sure to leave that in the comment section below. In any case, that is it for this week. Hope you're enjoying the little updates. Next week, of course, NaNoWriMo is done, so we'll probably be doing something else. And hope you'll have a nice week in between time. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.